Hey guys, it's Destiny, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the character that I personally believe might be one of the best to consider or possibly pick up when the game is out, whenever they do get their banner. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So today's character I'm going to be talking about is Silverwolf. Silverwolf is an incredible character, and I'm going to be getting into why. A cool thing about Silverwolf though, just to begin, is she is part of the Nihility class, which means that she is a debuffer, and she is also quantum, which we do not have many quantum characters. The only other characters that are quantum in the game is, I'm not really sure how to say her name, but she is a free 4-star we will be getting, which is kind of like a gambler character, and of course, Seele. So those two characters are our only quantum that I am aware of so far, and Silverwolf would likely be the third quantum character, assuming that she releases kind of early on within the months of the game coming out. So what Silverwolf is able to do is she's able to, in my opinion, enable a lot of team comps. What I mean by this is with her skill, she's able to basically inflict a weakness of the same type as a random ally's attack type on the enemy for 3 turns. She also reduces that enemy's damage resistance to that type by a percentage as well. What this means is that let's say you have a team of lightning characters, or let's just say you have Serval next to Silverwolf. What you're able to do is, assuming that Silverwolf's skill goes through, since at the beginning of the skill at level 1, it's a 75 base chance to be able to inflict the weakness onto the enemy, but as you keep upgrading the skill, it'll slowly go up in percentage, assuming that they keep the percentages relatively the same. But let's say you're able to use her skill, and then the enemy is inflicted with that weakness, and let's say it's Serval's. So now Serval's lightning damage will be able to do more damage to the enemy, and since Silverwolf was able to decrease their damage resistance to that attack type, then Serval will be doing even more damage to that enemy. Additionally, if you are enjoying this video so far and I am helping you out, make sure to hit the subscribe button and let's carry on. So essentially, Silverwolf is just able to make a lot of characters do effective damage against enemies, since in my opinion at least, and through playing the beta, element types matter a lot in this game. You'll definitely want multiple characters that are able to basically use their elements in order to defeat the enemy. If you do not have an element type that is basically super effective to the enemy, then the enemy has their toughness meter bar for quite a long time, and it's really difficult to deplete their HP in order to beat them. So you'll definitely want to have characters on your team that have the elements that are able to defeat whatever you are fighting. Kind of like if you were to think about it like Pokemon, if you're fighting a fire type, you'll want to use a water type. It would not be very effective to use a grass type, as we all know, you have played Pokemon. So in this case, think of enemies that are weak to your allies as the water type to the fire type. While if the ally does not have super effective damage towards that enemy and is not able to deplete that weakness meter, it's essentially like you're using that grass type against the fire type. I hope that example kind of makes it simple to understand, and if it does, let me know if you have any questions regarding that, but that's my example when it comes to that. So essentially, Silverwolf is able to make all your teammates basically that water type to the fire type. Even if that fire type is, let's just say, only weak to water, Silverwolf was able to inflict that weakness of the grass type onto the enemy. I'm really using this Pokemon example for a little too long, but I think you guys get it. So that's one thing Silverwolf is able to do, and she's actually able to do even more. With her basic attack, she has a base chance to implement a random bug into an enemy, which also lasts for 3 turns. Her bugs are basically debuffs, so they can reduce the attack by a percentage, reduce the defense by the percentage, or reduce the enemy's speed by a percentage. And for every debuff that the enemy has attacked by Silverwolf, Silverwolf's damage is also increased against that enemy, and this effect can stack up to 5 times. So Silverwolf can definitely take advantage of debuffing enemies herself and do more damage herself, which I think is great, especially if that enemy is weak to quantum, then you can get away with that. And I feel like Silverwolf is just a really great debuffer because of this. And then her ultimate also does damage of a percentage to a single enemy with a 100% base chance to cause entanglement. Basically, what entanglement is able to do, for each debuff on the enemy, you deal additional quantum damage up to 5 turns, and when the enemy is entangled, their action is delayed by another percentage. So at the beginning of the next turn, the enemy receives quantum DOT equal to a percentage of Silverwolf's attack. I think this is also incredibly powerful since now Silver Wolf is able to inflict DOT, which is damage over time, onto enemies. Silver Wolf, in my opinion, is going to pair amazingly with Kafka because of this. Kafka is a character who is able to basically take advantage of how much DOT is inflicted onto enemies. So you would want to do Kafka, Shampoo, which most people know as Sampo, but I call him Shampoo, so we're going to keep going with that. So you'd want Kafka, Shampoo, and Silver Wolf, and then your last character can honestly be a healer or a shielder, just so your teammates are good and alive. So I think this team comp is really strong as a result, and I feel like Silver Wolf can be on multiple teams than just that team. You could put Silver Wolf probably on a Jing Yuan team, so Jing Yuan is able to do super effective damage against all enemies with his lightning damage, and just Silver Wolf in general, I just feel like is going to be an incredible character for a lot of people to look into, even as like free to play or a spender, whatever you are. I would honestly recommend, assuming that they don't change her kit too much, which I personally don't think they can, I would recommend absolutely going for Silver Wolf when she does come out. And possibly if you are free to play and you are interested in Silver Wolf, like you like her character, then I would just honestly recommend possibly saving for her when the game does come out, or shortly after the game is out. If you want Seele or Jing Yuan, go for them. But then when it comes to Silver Wolf, I would start saving for Silver Wolf. Or if you know you really want Kafka, I would honestly save for the Silver Wolf and Kafka combo. I genuinely think you will not be disappointed with that combo. I feel like it's going to be so good. And I feel like this character is sort of being talked about right now, but sort of not, since we don't know too much about her other than, I guess, her kit. If you do look into her kit, I try to look into multiple character kits just to see what characters are possibly on my radar and might be really good. As for her traces, which Silver Wolf gets when she is attacked, there's also a chance to inflict a bug to the attacker, so that's another way to get a debuff if she's getting attacked. Her basic attack also has a chance to implement an additional random bug to an enemy, and her skill is guaranteed to implement a type weakness if the enemy has 3 or more debuffs. So even though initially her skill has a percentage to basically inflict the type weakness, she has a guaranteed chance to do this if the enemy has 3 or more debuffs. So as long as you're getting debuffs on the enemy, you're honestly good to go, and you can take full advantage of Silver Wolf's type weakness that she's able to inflict onto those enemies. So once again, really strong character, and the traces are like kind of like a skill tree in the game, and you unlock them as you keep basically working on the character. So that's a thing to keep in mind, as well as traces can definitely be very beneficial to look into, especially that trace that I mentioned where she's guaranteed to inflict that weakness as long as you have 3 debuffs. I definitely go for that. As for her Eidolons, which are basically constellations in this game, I think they're pretty decent. Her first one is able to extend the duration of a bug, and whenever the enemy's weakness is broken, she has a 65% base chance to inflict a random bug on the enemy. Then she's also able to just basically with her Eidolons continuously debuff enemies. For her second Eidolon, she's able to reduce the effect resistance of enemies by 30% for 2 turns. And enemies will have effect resistance in this game eventually. And I think early on, there's not really many enemies that do have effect resistance, but effect resistance will basically be able to block out debuffs from occurring. So that can definitely stump Silver Wolf. But her second Eidolon is able to kind of deal with this, as she's able to reduce that effect resistance. So if you are looking at getting Eidolons, or as some of you may think of them as constellations for a Silver Wolf, that would also be really beneficial. I think at E0 alone, Silver Wolf is able to do a lot for a team. And I think once again, she could be paired up on multiple teams, do a lot for the team, and just be really good for all players to look into possibly grabbing at least one. I would definitely recommend that. If you guys have any questions about Silver Wolf, I can try to answer them to the best of my ability. Just to keep in mind that all of this information is beta information. They can change some things, but I genuinely don't think they're going to change much other than percentages for Silver Wolf, because otherwise then she'd kind of be a whole new character. If you guys enjoyed this video though, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I plan to make a lot more Star Rail guides, especially when the game is out. And if you guys have any recommendations or suggestions for what you guys want me to make videos on, I will gladly hear them out, because I would love to make what you guys want to see, as you guys are what I'm making these videos for. I'm trying to help you guys out, so I'd love to know what you guys want me to make videos on. I do have a lot of guides planned though, to release very soon, especially when it's near the game's release. And I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Hope you all have a good one. Peace.